Okay, good afternoon. My name is Salvatore Siriano. I'm the lead music instructor at Triton. This is my 5th semester. Previous to that, I worked at College of Page for about 10 years, and I also worked for Cicero School District 99 for 10 years as well. I'm also a Google Certified Educator Level 2. So I do use Google quite a bit in my applications, and I also incorporate it into Blackboard, which is what I'm hoping to show you all today. Just a couple things. We have 45 minutes, and I'm going to walk through things, and rather than stopping to show and stop and show, what I've done is I've created 5 video tutorials that I'll share with you all at the end, covering what we went over today. So that way, if any one of them appealed to you or you didn't quite catch it, you can always go back and watch the video tutorial to perform whichever task you may think may be most useful for you. If we could quickly just go around the room, if you could just introduce your name and department you work with.
Hi, I'm Risa Sanders-Lear. I'm in visual informing arts, mass communication. I teach cinema appreciation online.
Okay, great.
I'm Todd Nikowitz, and I work in the automotive department.
Hi.
I'm TJ, Terry Yankee, sterile processing and surgical technology.
Okay.
And John Alexia, office assistant at business.
I'm Dr. Cribbett, Chair of the Accounting Business and Paralegal Studies at Triton.
Okay, welcome.
I'm Margarita Bromaska, I teach at horticulture.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Lisa Scoville, I teach in the English department.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Jasmine. I teach in the HIE department.
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure meeting some of you I've met before, but this is first for you, as this is I started in the midst of the pandemic, so this is my 2nd semester on campus. So, so the basic, for this presentation, your students are using Google Suite, are you? I'm just trying to get used to this particular touch screen. I'm going to actually just go over here. Google Workspace, it kind of replicates in many ways Microsoft Office. It's a free, there's a business aspect to it too, but it's free for most users, certainly for anything that we wish to do. It's free, it's online based. Docs is similar to Microsoft Word, Sheets is similar to Microsoft Excel, Slides is similar to Microsoft PowerPoint, Forms, there's a Microsoft Forms and so forth. They are all completely online. Drive, you get free cloud-based storage. Just raise your hand if you have a Gmail address. Okay, then you already have these all available to you, including Google Drive, which is 15 gigabytes of free storage. So what are some of the benefits of using the Google apps? One is collaboration. And it's not to say, I don't want to use this time to kind of have a versus match between Microsoft and Google, but rather just talk about the things that I think Google does well and I think that are ease of use. And one is collaboration. This came in very handy during COVID, where my students could all work on one Google Doc together at the same time in real time. Or I could create a Google Sheet with 4 tabs, give 4 groups, and they fill it out that way, even though they're miles apart. They're still able to type and collaborate together in real time. Auto saving, there's no lost documents. You can work from anywhere. The apps work well on tablets. I know students who are writing some of their papers, I prefer them not to be, but on their phone, on their tablet, using Google Docs and so forth. There's easy access. It's very easy to share. Instead of emailing copies back and forth, you're sharing the same copy so everybody has the exact same thing. So eliminates the whole idea, well, do you have the most recent copy? We all have the same link, we all have the most recent copy. Export, for students who like to write in Google Docs, I just ask them, just please export it to a PDF or Word format before they upload to Blackboard. It's a simple process. It saves time because you no longer have to save files, emails. If everyone's working with the link, then you all have access to the same thing. One of the things that I like about it is I can embed it in Blackboard. So in my particular situation, I teach multiple sections of the same course. You may be in the same scenario. So, and I like to update my learning materials as we go throughout the course. It's not just there and that's it. If I find something interesting, I want to put it there. Well, by using Google Docs and embedding them, if I update one spot, it updates everywhere where that Google Doc is embedded, rather than having to go to each particular Blackboard shell and update it. So to me, that's one of the most useful things. And then for students, it's free. And students are already using it. They used it in high school. They used it in junior high. In the school that I worked at, it was a one-on-one environment where every student had a Chromebook. So it's just built into their fabric at this point. So one thing I would like everyone to do is just, if you can, if it'll work in here, this is something I do with my students quite frequently, is I put up a QR code, have them take a picture with their phone, and then it'll open a Google form on their phone. And I use this for multiple things. To take surveys, I do exit tickets at the end of every class, and now it's become quite routine. So if you can take a moment just to fill out that form, know that I'm going to share it publicly. Not that it's asking any personal questions, but just to show how it works. Feel free to get up. I turn the lights off when I'm in my room for that minute. Then once you're done, if you can just put your phone down, then I know that everyone's finished. Okay. If you're still working, that's okay. So this is the form that I shared with you as the test classroom for today. And what you can see then, I've set this up, and then I have my responses. And for me, the most useful part is that I can click here and create a new spreadsheet. And it will open, create this so I can keep a running tab with all the answers. And to just provide an example, so as I mentioned, for my Music 110 classes, I give them an exit ticket at the end of every class. I took the last names out. So the wrong one. But what I'm basically asking them, what was the most important thing you learned today? Write one question you had in today's class. What do you look for in next class? I also ask them to kind of be honest and kind of do a reflection. Were you on time today? Did you participate in class today? Did you check your text or social media? And you'll see they're honest as well. So I tell them it's not for a grade, this is a benchmark. And I have now, and I have a record that I can research and look at after every class and see, okay, what did they get the most out of this lesson? Oftentimes I'll see a question that presents itself over and over again, and then also what they're looking forward to. If there's something specific that maybe I wasn't going to cover, I'll be sure to include it. And with Google Sheets, just like you can in Excel, I can filter out by class. So if I turn the filter on right here, I can say, well, I want to see just the responses from my Music 110.04 class. And now I just see their responses. So I can narrow it down. I mean, I can even filter out to find just one student to one student. So a lot of, if you've used Excel, a lot of it's the same functionality. It's just the fact that Google Forms throws it in here, and then I can manipulate the data and sort through it and use it. But I found it to be a very useful learning tool. And like I said, at the beginning of at the end of each class, students know it. I just have my exit ticket QR code. I put it up, they take it, they finish it, and then they can leave. So that's one of the ways that I find useful for creating a form. Another thing I want to cover today is creating a Hyperdoc, which is using Google Docs just basically to create a collection of links or learning guides. Yes?
How do you create the scan code?
There are different ones. I don't want to recommend any one in particular because they're all free and I don't want to endorse anything. I use what's called QRCodegenerator.com. But there's many different ways to create one. This one's a very basic one, but that's all I need. And basically all you have to do is you go to here, copy whatever the link is that you want to use, paste the link in here, and then click download. If I did the paid version, I wouldn't have to wait for it to do its thing, and I could customize different colors and all that, but I don't need that. And then it'll save it as a picture, and then I just put a picture on the doc. And then from there they can do that. Hyperdocs, as you can see here, are a way to create. So this is for a music theory class. So I kind of collect everything that we're working on, in addition, and anything that I have links or exterior places that I want them to visit or reviews. I tell them what it is, and then it's here, and it's all in one spot.
Question. When you created how did you put the questions in? That's what I think.
The forms.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back. I'm just kind of doing a preview of what we're going to go over. And then embed in Blackboard. So once we create a Google Doc or a form, you can see we can take any of those items and put them into Blackboard. So you can keep everything contained in the shell. I like putting my Google Slides instead of PowerPoints embedded in Blackboard because I don't want 50 million copies. I don't want people downloading my Google Slides, changing them. I like to keep them updated. I feel like I have a better sense of control when they're embedded. And then finally, just using slides. And one of the nice things about inserting YouTube videos into slides, because it's Google-based, you can set the exact times that you want them to be in there. So you can have, instead of budgeting around with it, it just starts and finishes, so while you're talking, you'll finish. Okay, so let's go to Google Forms. And if you're at the Google homepage and you're logged into Google to your Gmail or whatever it may be, everything that is available to you is right here. So you'll see Google Apps. You can scroll down. And pick. So I'm going to pick the Google Forms. And again, I have, at the end of class, I will share another QR code with this particular website that I created, just using Google Sites. Something that we won't have time to talk to today, but everything that we talked about will be included here with videos. Okay, so I'm going to pick Forms. I could also just Google Forms as well. It will come up. So the layout is going to be the same for most of the Google Suite, Google Works. They keep changing the name. Now it's Google Workspace. It was G Suite. It was G Office. It all means the same thing. So I'm going to click blank because I want to start a new form. And I can give it a title. Let's just say I'm going to do the exit ticket. These are also great for surveys. I do the same thing at the beginning of class just to get an interest survey from students, see what they're most interested in. I do mid-semester surveys and semester surveys. It works well for all of them. But for this, let's just say we're going to do an exit ticket. So then here I'm going to click. Each time I create a new question, it asks me what type of question do I want to create. Do I want to create short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkbox? Those are the main ones that I use. So oftentimes it kind of knows what you want anyway. So if I click first name, you can see it changes the short answer. Then I'll click plus to add another one. Last name. And see short answer. And then you can ask whatever questions you think are pertinent for your class. So I'm just going to say a reflective question. Did you arrive on time today? And you can see Google knowing everything about us. You can just pick yes, no, and then you're done. And then you can also select check boxes where they can select more than one answer, kind of like what I put on there. So, what apps are you familiar with? And it selected the checkbox because it knows I'm asking multiple. If it picks the wrong thing, I can just go here and click checkbox. So docs, sheets, slides, form. And at any time I want to preview how it's looking so far, I click on the eye up here. And I can test it out. And then to return back to edit mode, I click here. And then let's say I want to ask a more narrative question at the end. And it put it up here, which is fine because I came back. I can reorder the questions any way I want. If you see there's this little drag, so if I hold the mouse button down and just drag down, I can bring that back to the bottom. Or move questions up either way. It doesn't matter. So I can put, I'll just ask them one. So that, they'll choose it as a paragraph. Again, if it gets it wrong, I would just change it. So there's the form. And again, I can preview it. Looks correct. I always default that they have to answer. For some reason, it's a question that you don't require them or they don't have to answer. You can turn the required off. Maybe it's just like an extra question or something like that. You can turn the requirement on. There's themes. I'm not going to get much into that just because you're certainly welcome to play around with it. But you can change the colors. You can choose images for headers and so forth. But it's more just for show. It doesn't change the functionality of it in any way. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. This is what I want to submit to my students and share with my students. So there's nothing to save because it's been saving all along. I'm going to give it a title. If I click on title, it's going to give it this title, or I could change it to something else. But that's fine. I'm going to just put CTE, just so I keep track of this from other things. And then I'm going to click send. And from here, this is where you decide how you're going to share it with everyone. Okay. You can also decide whether to collect email addresses. Okay. However, I don't do that. If it's with students in class, I know their names. That's more if you're doing like a more random school-wide survey or something like that. For me, the purpose of these are quick, done in 5 minutes. So this one is usually what you're most interested in. You're not going to email it to your whole class, rather you're just going to create a link. And then I can shorten it if I want, so it's a little less cumbersome. And then I click copy. Now, if I wanted to do it like I did with the QR code, I would just take this, go to my QR code generator, paste that link in there, download it, and then I would create a Google Doc. I mean, you could alternately send it to the students, the link, you could paste it in Blackboard, but this is just what I do because we just become used to doing the last 5 minutes of class. Paste it here into a Google Doc. I make it big enough, you know, for the be on the projector. And then just, I open this. But once you've created this exit ticket, if you create something general enough, you can just use this every class. So you have this running database of responses from your students. It's really not that much work on your part, but the amount of data and student feedback you get is a lot. And I give it points. I give them 2 points for every one they complete, which doesn't sound like a lot, but at the end of the semester it is a lot. It also encourages attendance, because I tell them you can't make it up. So if you're not there to do the exit ticket, how can you get points? So again, that's how you would create a Google form, but they're useful not just for exit tickets, for surveys, pretty much anything where you're trying to get a pulse of your class. You can also use them for quizzes as well, and they'll correct it. But Blackboard already has those features kind of built in. Other people use Connect and so forth, so I didn't want to get too much into it. But just so you know, there is a quiz functionality in Google Forms as well. Okay. Any questions before we move on to the next? All right. Creating a Hyperdoc in Google using a Google Doc. I'm going to create a new one here. Here's an example of one that I use with my class now. Sorry, way too much stuff open. Here it is. So this is my Music Theory 106 class. This link right off the top takes them to our digital page where they get ebook, workbook, and so forth. But then these are all other resources that I have for them to use in addition to their book. And it's all in one spot. And I keep adding to it throughout the semester. And again, to me, that's the benefit of it. It's that it's I think of Google Docs like living, breathing docs. I don't have to save or resend. I just embed it in Blackboard. And as we add stuff, or even sometimes students say, Siriano, I found this cool website, and it's like, oh, that's great, let's put it on the list. So here's an example, here's a review for note names. This is a rhythm training exercise.
Is that like a metronome?
Yes, only they have to identify, as the rhythms go by, they have to pick out the exact rhythms that are being played. Here's some exercises that I created for them using Musictheory.net, so they don't have to go there and play with it. It just goes right to where it is. It's set up. Here's a ear training website with YouTube exercises that they can practice on their own. The species counterpoint is the type of writing.
Hello there.
A video that they can watch on their own time as well. But the point is that it's all in one spot, and they constantly refer to this. And I do this with my Music 110 as well. So I need outside listening that's outside the textbook. They have it available right there as you go by unit, flashcards, and so forth. So for instance, here I have rhythm flashcards. So again, it's just in one spot. And it's quite easy to do. So if I'm going to start a new document, and I'm just going to say activities page, you can name it whatever you want. And the formatting works just like pretty much very similar to Word. If you use a word processor, you'll find there's a very minimal learning curve. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put in a table. Other people do it different ways. This is just how I like to do it. I like to create it like this. I put a little description on this side, and then I put the link on this side. So let's say, let me close some of these things that I already have. So let's say I was going to use the digital resources, note names, rhythm trainer. Let's say I wanted to put links to these. So the first one, I just put digital textbook. So I can just put here. And then I'll put here, I go to the book, go to the resource. I'm just going to highlight this. Control C is copy, or you can right click copy. Either way. And then I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to put book. This keeps it nice and clean as well. To put a link there, I'm just going to highlight the word, and then I'm going to select Control K. And then I'm going to paste the link I just copied using Control V. And then there's the link. So Control C is to copy the link, Control K is to insert the link, and Control V is to paste the link in. So now, when the students come here, they just click on it, and it opens to the link. And then I'm just going to put in a couple other ones. So here's note practice. So I'll just put here, note practice from Musictheorynet. And again, it's clean because you're not having these super long hyperlinks on the page. So I put that there. I go here, highlight it, Control C, go back to my document, click on the word, Control K, Control V, apply.
I think yes and boy.
I'm sorry, Control C as in cat, Control K as in headphone, Control V as in like bass.
Oh, V, okay.
Yes.
In quick succession or everything together? Do you put your fingers on all of them together? Or?
Yes, I should start with Control and then C, Control and then K, Control and then V. If you're a Mac user, I believe it's the Command or Apple button. Command C that you're working with.
So like Control K to insert the link, Control V to paste.
You can also, I'll do one more, oral skills, ear training. So I would give it a more description, but just for time's sake. So I'll just put ear training here. So for this one, I can still use right click to do the same things, like right click, copy, select this, right click, link, and then right click, paste.
So the link button has a button too, right?
Yes,
Oh,
two.
okay.
So, and then as the class goes on, I can just continue to build this. Which then comes to the point is, well, what if I want to embed this in Blackboard? So students don't have to go somewhere else. They can just come to this particular page and make it a page in Blackboard. And their embedding comes in. So let's just say I'm going to take this one because it's finished. So let's say we worked on it, I created this. I can still add to it later. So just because I embed it in Blackboard doesn't mean I can't continue to edit it. Anything you embed, any Google anything, Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Docs, update every 5 minutes. So if you make a change on your side in the Google Docs, it will then update in Blackboard within 5 minutes. So let's take this document that's already fully created. To publish it, what we have to do is first publish it to the web. So I'm just going to click File, Publish to the web, and it's going to give me a couple options here. And again, I have this all recorded, a video recording for you to view after. So you can use the link, but I don't like it because it shows too many, like, this is provided by Google Doc, blah, 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 blah. So embedding is the better way to go. I am not a coder, so just so you know. So it's just as a matter of just learning a couple steps, and then you're good to go. So I'm going to click Embed, and it has code, and I don't have no idea what any of it means. But all I know is I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to copy it however you copy, Control C, whatever you want. But I'm going to copy it. Okay, and you can see automatically republish when changes are made. So if I update this, it's anywhere where I have it embedded, it's going to update. Then I'm going to go here to my Blackboard shell. Okay, and I'm going to turn editing on. And let's say I want to, I'm kind of rating the CTE's Blackboard, so I don't want to make too many changes. So let's say I had a space I want to put it. I'm going to put it right here in this range. So I'm going to just, what I'm going to do is, sorry, I should have stopped. This is the folder I decided I wanted it. Maybe I put it here like, music activities page. That's usually what I have it. I have it down here, music activities page, and then it opens here. But because I don't want to break anything over here, I'm just going to stick in my little spot. So I'm going to click Build Item. And then I'm going to give it a name. So I'll just call it my music activities, music Hyperdoc, music links, whatever you want to be. And then I have to click right here, this HTML button. Okay, I can't, if I just paste this in here, nothing's going to happen. I have to click HTML. So I click that, and a new window opens. And then I paste it with Control V or Edit Paste and hit Update. Now you'll see there's this little box. Okay, and again, just by trial and error, that's going to be the size of the document, which is not going to look too good. You can open this up and play around with it and try to get it to size right and all this other stuff. But there's a much easier way with just taking one more step. So I'm going to delete this and show you what I do. It involves the most minimal, you have to enter two things in that HTML code, which is very obvious, but it makes life much simpler. And I played with this all summer and learned the hard way. So I paste so I'm starting from scratch. I inserted my item, click Music Activities. I'm going to click HTML, paste that code that the Google Doc gave me, and I'm going to click Update. And then I see it gives me this yellow box, so I know that worked. I'm going to hit HTML one more time. And notice that Blackboard now added width 320, height 240. Okay. Well, for our documents, we want the whole width. We don't want to scroll across. So the only two changes I have to make is width 100%. And then height, depending on how long your document is, most people agree to either put 1,000 pixels there or 1,500 pixels. Either one of those will do the trick. I'm going to do 1,000 and see how it looks. That's it. So you're not coding anything. You're just changing those two dimension sizes so that it shows 100% the width of your document and then about 100 pixels just so it doesn't take up those two. So now when I click Update, you can see it fills it up. And now when I hit Submit, that looks how I want it to see. And now it's there. So now if I make a copy of this shell for next semester and make 5 different sections with it, anytime I update this document, it's updated across everywhere. So I don't have to keep going back into shell, making all my changes. To me, that saves me a lot of time. Because you do it once, whatever they say, set it, forget it. So now, whenever all I have to make changes to is this document here, and then it's everywhere where that Google Doc is embedded, it will change. Every 5 minutes I make those changes. And then one last thing I'll show before and then I'm happy to take any questions, is with YouTube and Google Slides, I'm going to open one that I've already created. So if you've used PowerPoint, it works the same way. the one thing that I find easier to deal with is with videos. And for instance, I have this video ready to start. When I press play, it starts at the 57 mark because I've told it to. Or at this one, it starts at.
So what are most people talking about when they refer to nationalism in music? What makes a piece of music by Copeland specifically American?
And to do that, all I have to do is, when I'm creating PowerPoint, I'm going to create just a new slide. It works very similar to PowerPoint. It has themes. Just to remember, just a quick reminder that, with universal design learning, that oftentimes we don't want flashy, colory counterpoints anymore. We want, very stark contrast. Black and white is often best because it's most accessible for everybody. So all I have to do is I can click here, insert video, and then whatever YouTube video I want to pick, I can choose from. So let's say I'm going to do, let's just say I was going to do one on Debussy. So this one right here. And if you notice, if I just press play, we'd be waiting. Okay. I want just to start right when the music starts. So I'm going to. So I'm going to say 40, and I want the section to end. I only want to play up to the first section. So let's just say for our sake, it ends in 4 minutes. So I'm going to copy this, go to my slide, click Insert Video, and you can, if you have videos stored on Google Drive and whatnot, you can use those as well. However, you only have 15 gigabytes for free with Google Drive, so that's not the best place to put videos, right? You can use up that real quick. Just upload them to YouTube if you do create videos. So I paste it, there's the video. I click Select, and there it is. And I can move it around, whatever. I can take up the whole slide I want or just part. If you notice, it will help guide you so that it's centered. This up a little. And then when I click on the video itself, you can see here where it wants me to start. So I'm going to put 40, and I want it to end at 4 minutes. I don't want it to mute audio. Size, position, rotation, we're doing that manually. We don't have to get into that. So now when I press present, it starts right where the piece begins, which is what I want. And then it will end when I tell it to. So that way, if I'm kind of walking around the room, I don't have to rush back to the computer and press stop. I can still keep the flow going on the class. Sorry, I could just stop and listen to that. So then the last thing is to embed. Let's say this one's already done. I have this unit, nationalism on 19th century music. So I embed it the exact same way as I do with the Google Doc. File, publish to web, embed, and then copy the code that it gives me. The good thing about the PowerPoint, though, the slides, is that you don't have to do that little HTML trick that you have to with the Google Doc. So let's say down here, I'm going to put in my Google Slides. So I'll just say nationalism. Same thing. I'm going to click HTML, paste in my code. I have no idea what any of it is. Next up, but not much. And then hit submit. And then there it is. And this way, what I like is because I update my slides, I don't want people printing them, changing them, spreading them around. This way they're kind of locked in Blackboard. And they can still use them just the way that we would watch it now, because all they have to do is from Blackboard, click on these 3 dots, hit enter full screen, So they're not missing anything. It's not like, oh, I have to look on this little screen or anything like that. They still have access. It works just like it would if they were watching it from somewhere else. All the videos work, everything's set the same. The difference is I feel I have more a sense of control over it because it remains mine. I update it through the semester. I update it all the time, so that way it just is mine. And then the same thing too, as I go into the next class, those slides are already embedded in the shell. So any updates I make, I don't have to go update the shell. It's just right here. So next semester, whatever updates I made, they're already there because it's embedded. Okay, and then before I take any questions, I just want to put up go. This is a link to a Google site, which we didn't even get into. That's a course in itself, but you can create a free web page for your class for you to use for, as a learning tool or as a collaboration tool. But this link is a Google site with 5 web tutorials that I created to go over each thing that we created together just now. So feel free to save it, bookmark it, and use it, and hopefully it comes in handy. And if at any time you forget or lose it, of course, email me and I'll send it to you. Okay, any questions? If you don't have any questions now, but if you think of some in the future, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'm happy to assist. I am continuously helping my music department instructors help with things like this. They find it pretty valuable, so I'm happy to share whatever I've learned along the way as a Google educator. Yes?
You said that you also have a tutorial video, I believe, on how to create a site, like Google site. Do you have that?
That I don't. It's on a Google site.
Oh, it's on the Google site.
Yes. But if you have questions, just let me know.
Okay.
I'm always happy we can meet here for
Okay.
a half hour.
Okay.
To set something up. And the Google sites are free as well. So you can create your own web page for each class, and it'll just be like, it'll always start with sites, Google, and then whatever you name it. And if you really want to, you could buy a domain name and have it use that instead, but for classes. Okay, well, thank you very much for attending. I appreciate you all coming.